Welcome into STB Sports Take, simply the best sports podcast. I'm your host, Sean Bingham, coming to you from Bali, Indonesia, doing the best I can to keep getting these podcasts out. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you get your podcasts, we are there. Please also follow us on TikTok and Instagram and all the good stuff. Spread the love. Going to have a great show for you today. We're talking NFL, we're talking LeBron James and some drama. I got to start, though, immediately with that Jags Chiefs game. Me and Byron were in the middle of the podcast last time as that game was ending. I thought for sure the Chiefs would win. Somehow, some way, the Jags pull off the miracle. Trevor Lawrence falls over, gets the snap, trips over his lineman's foot, falls over, and then just pure miraculous stroke of luck, a broken play, runs for the game-winning touchdown after falling over after getting the snap. So the Jags ruined my Sean's Surefire 5. Went 2-3 last week. That was my worst week yet this season. Overall, still a winning record on the year, but 2-3 last week, not so great. So we'll get into my updated Sean's Surefire 5 later in the podcast. But I wanted to start with talking about Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation. I have been saying this since draft night that Shedeur Sanders, despite being a fifth rounder, his time would come, and it's just getting closer and closer and closer. He started as the fourth quarterback on the roster, really fifth if you count Deshaun Watson. But now, and obviously Deshaun Watson's just an afterthought in Cleveland, injured, and they don't want him anyway. But now Joe Flacco's not on the team, traded to Cincinnati to try and see if they can do something better than Jake Browning there and salvage as much of their season as they possibly can in the absence of Joe Burrow. But I would have gone after someone more like a Kirk Cousins, or, we talked about Russell Wilson last time on the podcast. So I'm a little surprised they go and get Joe Flacco. There's a good chance that the Giants didn't want to give up Russell Wilson or the Falcons give up Kirk Cousins. Joe Flacco should be an upgrade from Jake Browning. He seems to catch on very quickly to new playbooks. He's a very seasoned veteran. He'll probably do a better job than Jake Browning. Maybe they can go 500 over the next 7-8 weeks and see if Joe Burrow is going to be ready to come back, for the last 3 or 4 games of the season. But that is the hope. But Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland, he's now number 2. There's only 2 quarterbacks on the roster. It's Dillon Gabriel and it's Shedeur Sanders. Dillon Gabriel had a pretty decent first outing, so he's obviously going to be the starter moving forward. And the coach was like, I'm not sure I'm ready to say Shedeur is the clear number 2. I got news for you. He's the only other quarterback on the roster, so he's clearly number 2. Now, they are going to sign somebody from a practice squad or bring somebody from another team or something, but clearly Shedeur is number 2. And if there is a blowout happening or picks are being thrown or injuries happen, Shedeur will get his chance. I called it from a mile away. He will get his shot this year to play a significant role in the Cleveland Browns organization, and it's just a matter of time at this point. So a fun rookie quarterback battle in Cleveland. Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. Who will it be down the stretch? Are either of these guys the go-to quarterback in Cleveland, the quarterback of the future? My personal opinion is that the more likely one is Shedeur Sanders, but they're going with Dillon Gabriel first, and we'll see how it goes. Sticking in the NFL, this is a crazy story. The Cardinals head coach, Jonathan Gannon, has been fined $100,000 by the Cardinals for an altercation he had, or really an interaction he had, with running back Emari Demercado, who dropped the ball at the goal line. What would have been a game-winning touchdown turns into a game-losing fumble. And a head coach who is there to coach a player simply coaches him. And here's a little screen grab of the altercation. Clearly getting after him. He's up in his face. You can see that. And then Demercado's getting consoled by teammates afterwards. But, this is called coaching. These are grown men making millions of dollars. They should be able to handle their head coach getting after them when they make a game-losing play that should have been a game-winning play. That is a massive, massive mistake, a boneheaded mistake, too. It wasn't an accident. He literally just dropped the ball because he wanted to celebrate too early. So what's a coach supposed to do? You're going to fine him $100,000 for coaching? That's what you're paying him to do, is coach. So to me, this is just Charmin toilet paper soft. I don't like this one bit. I don't know exactly what was said, but it doesn't really matter. I even played high school sports. We got chewed out, cussed out, you name it. We were called it. And these guys are grown men, multimillionaires playing a game. they should be able to handle their coach being a coach. So I thought this was just absolutely insane. And the comments on Instagram are littered with people feeling the same way. You're going to fine a coach for being a coach. That's a dangerous, dangerous boundary to cross, in my opinion, because it just empowers players that much more to be prima donnas, babies, whatever. So I hated this move by the Arizona Cardinals, absolutely hated it. And now it's going to put all coaches on edge, like, oh, we're going to get fined for coaching our guys. It's not like he hit him or spit on him or did anything like that. He simply yelled at him, at least from everything I can see. So crazy story out of Arizona. Obviously a boneheaded move by DeMarcado, but not worthy of $100,000 fine to do that to Coach Gannon. All right, moving to the NBA for a little bit, then we'll come back to Sean's Surefire 5. LeBron James is being sued for his decision, the second decision, which turned out to just be an ad for Hennessy, which, by the way, Byron called. And the second he said, I think it's going to be an ad, I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. It will be an ad. And sure enough, it was. I still think this is LeBron's final season. I'd be really surprised if it isn't. Again, because it's season 23. He's number 23. He's clearly not the player he once was. He can put up the numbers. A lot of it's empty calorie stats. They're not really competing for a championship. We'll see how they are this year with Luka. He's going to sit out the entire preseason, LeBron is. So I still think it's probably his final season. You will get a farewell tour announcement. Maybe it comes partially into the season. I don't know how he wants to do it. Maybe he doesn't want a farewell tour. Knowing LeBron the way I do from afar, of course, as a fan or a pundit, is I think he wants the attention. He will do a farewell tour. We'll see when or if he announces it, but my guess is he will. But a fan is suing him because he says that it was misleading to do this second decision. So he bought expensive tickets, I think particularly to that Jazz game, the last game of the season for the Lakers. And the price of that ticket has plummeted by 80% since he purchased it because LeBron, it came out, was an ad. Now, it's still a good chance that'll be LeBron's last game. But because the ticket value spiked when that decision was made and now has plummeted since it became an ad, the guy is actually trying to sue LeBron, which is obviously ridiculous. I can't imagine he has any chance of winning. Maybe he gets a little money grab out of LeBron, maybe throws him a few grand just to get rid of it. I don't know. But my guess is he'll get absolutely nothing. Really, really stupid, but really, really funny. Speaking of LeBron, Rich Paul, his main man, his agent, went on the Pat McAfee show and had the audacity to say that the combo of LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh was not a big three. That might be the most ridiculous stretch I've ever heard in my life. That was one of the ultimate big threes in the history of the NBA. Have a listen.
That's not the end all be all. I always love a big two. I don't really love a big three. I don't really. People talk big three, but the big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three. There was three guys that went in the lottery and they did really well individually on their teams. So they put up big numbers and had big accomplishments. But when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat and he played a role in which, because he had such a high IQ and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work. When you look in Boston, okay, you can say Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was a big three. Again, thinking about names, but the way that offense was ran, Rondo's capability during that time, it was a lot different. When you seen people go for that, it never really worked. And I've had this conversation with several different, owners of teams and having this. That's not the end all be all. I always love a big.
What is Rich Paul talking about? Like the mental gymnastics he's going through. Even Pat McAfee, right, when he said that wasn't really a big three, was like, whoa, like this is a hot take. I mean, that's ridiculous. Obviously, it was a big three. Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron James, all in the same draft, all top 5 picks in the first round, all All-Stars, all led their teams in scoring. D-Wade had already won a championship, been a finals MVP. They were all NBA. It was like one of the biggest big threes ever, maybe the biggest ever, because, I mean, I guess you could go to the Clay, Steph, and KD big three. Maybe that one's bigger. I don't know. I still think I'd probably go with the LeBron, Wade, and Bosch big three as the biggest big three ever in the thick of their primes. All of them in their 20s still. I mean, it was the ultimate big three. Pretty ridiculous for Rich Paul to say that, to try and help LeBron save face in some way, because he did win 2 titles there. But to go 2-2 in the finals with that team against the competition they went against, the Mavericks beating them, and then an aging Spurs team, like old man Spurs team, unacceptable. And he knows that. And so that's why he's now trying to downplay it, saying it's not a big three. All right, it is time for Sean's Surefire Five. Again, I have a winning record on the year, so take note of these. I had an off week last week, went 2-3. But who was going to predict that Bills game wouldn't go their way? Who was going to predict Trevor Lawrence was going to trip and fall over and then, because of that, break free for a game-winning touchdown? Fluky week. 2-3 is not bad for such a fluky week. But here's what I've got for this week's Surefire Five. Take these to the bank. Going to start with the Cowboys over the Panthers. The Cowboys go to the Panthers. They're favored by 3.5. I like it. I think the Cowboys have a big week coming at them, and I'm going to take the Cowboys to cover by 3.5 at Carolina. The next one is those Jags. The Jags are riding high right now. They're 4-1, riding high from that win against Kansas City. They stay at home, and visiting Seattle comes in. Jags are favored by just 1.5, so it's basically a pick'ems game. I will take Jacksonville based on what I saw last week and the fact that they seem to be on a roll right now and they're playing at home again. I'll take Jacksonville to cover 1.5 over Seattle. The next one is the Steelers. They're playing the Browns. A lot of mix-up going on in Cleveland. Dylan Gabriel's second start ever. And Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers are at home against the Browns. I just think that they'll cover the 4.5, so I'm taking the Steelers over the Browns to cover 4.5. The next one, number 4 on this list, is the Patriots. The Patriots have been impressing me, and they're playing the lowly Saints. The Saints are probably the worst team in the NFL. They are going on the road to New Orleans, but they're only favored by 3.5. So I will take the Patriots to cover the 3.5 and win at New Orleans by at least 4 points. And the last one, I debated between my Commanders by 4.5 or more over the Bears in Monday Night Football, but I'm going to go with the Bills on the road at Atlanta to cover 3.5. To me, the Bills just had a setback. They're going to have a big breakthrough game. I think you'll see the Bills roll, probably win by a touchdown or more. So I think for sure they cover the 4.5. So that is this week's Sean's Surefire Five. All right, you guys, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. This is STB Sports Take on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, all of it. Please subscribe, share the videos. We appreciate you. I am out. Peace.